steroids. Let's talk about steroids. What are they, and what do they do scientifically? Because a lot of people, when the word steroids comes into their mind, they just think, "Oh yeah, just inject into your arms and then you get huge," which more or less can be true and it cannot be true. So let's talk about steroids. Let's go into that for anyone who doesn't really get it.
Okay.
So, what are steroids?
Well, at the end of the day, they're an artificial source. Well, steroids would have they originated from helping people that may actually need them to grow. So they have been around for a long time. But if you imagine maybe someone maybe they've been in an injury,
Yeah.
or maybe they've got a disability where they're actually a lot smaller than where they should be at for their age. They might have muscular dystrophy, so they actually are smaller. So I've actually seen 16-year-olds that were the size of maybe an 8-year-old, and it's a disease that they actually have. Should they be given steroids? Well, that's really the discussion between their doctor and their parents, and in consultation with the young person. But in terms of using them for performance enhancing, because performance enhancing drugs, steroids, it's kind of an interchangeable word because they're used for the purpose of basically enlarging the body to what it's capable to do naturally. I have no issue with if people want to take it and do it and that sort of stuff. I do have an issue if they want to do a natural bodybuilding show because, well,
Yeah,
it's a
that's
natural
unnatural.
show.
Yeah.
So I have an issue with that. Like, yeah, each in their own what they want to do. Is there an optimal way to do it? Well, I can give you my opinion. Whether it may not be the mainstream opinion.
Yeah.
There is a lot of different performance enhancing drugs out there. Crikey, I honestly don't know all of them that are out there. So there could be like Dianabol, Stanozol, Clenbuterol. It's like Clenbuterol. They use it for getting horses leaner before a race because they go, if you're lighter, then it's a power to weight ratio sort of thing.
Yeah.
Some people take that, and then you might ask, well, why do people dabble in it? Well, it's either to give themselves a winning edge, or maybe they really want that golden trophy or whatever it is. But realistically, if you look at it in terms of as a male, and females can take them as well, but they have different side effects. So the main side effects for a male would be they can get partial baldness. Because you're elevating the natural levels of testosterone. Testosterone generally for a male is derived from your testicles. And you're giving or injecting or however it's the body actually stops producing its own after a while, hence why people have to cycle it. So the side effects could be partial baldness, it could be acne, real bad acne around the shoulders, around the back, really big welts, square jawline, short-tempered. Pretty much when taking a lot of steroids or performance-enhancing drugs, if someone is, I've heard someone summarize this once. If you've already got a short fuse, well, you're going to have an even shorter fuse. If you're a bit of a dick when on
the usual.
Just naturally, and you're just going to be an even bigger one, with the guys, sometimes the voice deepens as well. With the girls, the voice definitely deepens.
Yeah.
The guys, the side effects, to a certain extent, are reversible, but the organ damage that's done over years and years is not really reversible. So if you look at a lot of the pros from the 90s and the 80s.
Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah, well, most of those guys have probably had some heart work done. Now, at the age that they are, they're like 60, 70 years old, 50 years old. Is that normal to get heart work done? Not necessarily, depending on if it's genetic. I always put it down to, if you go and put a small engine in a Mack truck and floor it, well, then you're probably going to blow it up at some point in time.
Yeah.
So the body has a certain natural call it natural limit
Yeah.
that it can get to. Back to the side effects with women, they usually breast tissue for women is made out of body fat,
Yeah.
and generally the women, if particularly when they're leaner, they lose their boobs, their voice deepens, parts of their female anatomy they enlarge in.
Yeah.
They can go bald as well because they're increasing the amount of testosterone in their body. So
Yeah.
males and females in terms of hormone level, whilst they have similar levels, it's different enough that one is obviously has the male sex hormone and one has the female sex hormone. When you start messing with the way that kind of we've been put together biologically, well, then
Yeah.
it's going to do some weird and wonderful things. So like
Yeah.
the peak for a male in terms of testosterone, it's probably around about their mid-20s. And once they get to about 30, so, you know, like in their teens, late teens to 20s, they just feel like they just want to hump everything or something like that.
Yep. Everything that moves.
Well, it's just like this drive, and they're like,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, some people that are that act on that, well, then they act accordingly to that. Some people they tend to channel it and put it into other things.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong way to do it, you know. But anyway, getting off topic. When thinking about maximum hormone level, if that's at the mid-20s, so if the hormone level is this distance there to there, all right,
Yeah.
probably easy that, and if it's there to there, and synthetically you can basically elevate it. So just say another from there to there.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. So then the best way when it is at the top, they might run on maybe a 6, 8, 9. I don't know if it's a 9-week cycle, but they run them in cycles. And the reason why they run them in cycles is that you got to give your body a break. And if you don't give your body a break, then it stops producing the normal level of testosterone.
Yeah.
Stops producing the normal level of testosterone. So just say if someone runs a cycle for a long period of time, then they end up getting the reverse effects of what they actually intended for. So that means, okay, so if our testosterone's up here,
Yeah.
max, even if we're 30, 40, wherever it is, that max, you basically, your body will stop producing it. And then in a way, after a while, your balls will actually stop, they'll shrink.
Yeah.
They shrink because, well, they effectively go on a holiday. We're like, well, we're not needed here anymore.
Yeah.
So now we're going for a holiday. Will they come back? Yeah, they'll come back. But over long-term use of it, over like decades and all that sort of stuff, then eventually, it will actually have a really, you know, I'm not a doctor in terms of how much of it, but it will have an effect of it. Each different person is going to be different. So when that happens, if the natural testosterone, when they do the cycle, just say they come off the cycle, so maybe 7 weeks, they might cycle for 3, it might be for 2, however long it is. And then they do another cycle, 7 weeks, comes back up. And so that they're trying to trick the body to hopefully that it doesn't develop the side effects. And the side effects for males is they can end up getting what they call glycomastia, where you actually start, as a male, we don't actually produce milk in our boobs, but you do if you get your cycle wrong. And glycomastia is otherwise known as it's otherwise known as what they call bitch tits. So, yeah, it's fun. It's technical.
God damn.
So yeah,
I've heard that side effect of balls before. So that can lead males to getting really heavy, larger pectorals.
yeah.
So yeah, wow,
Yeah.
it's
So,
crazy.
so if you see, you know, like, yeah, and because you're completely changing the hormone level, because you, like I said, there's your natural level of testosterone, which comes from your testicles. Your testicles are now going on a holiday. They're not literally going on a holiday. They just stop producing the hormone that basically makes a male male.
Yeah.
So because that's gone, well, will it come back? Yeah.
Depends on the person.
Yeah, it depends on the person. And then over a long period of time, then well, it's a weighing up. You got to weigh these things up. A lot of the interviews that I've watched with the pros from the 80s and 90s, they say, well, if you're not doing it for, if you're not a top level bodybuilder, what the hell are you doing it for? That's their advice on it. They wouldn't touch it, but they've had years to reflect on it. And one guy, I think it's maybe Dorian Yates or Lee Priest, if you like, he goes, when you're 25, you don't give a fuck. You don't care. Like if
You're
someone says, "Oh, don't take this," what are you going to do? You're going to take it. So,
yeah.
that's where this channel came from, the old head, young shoulders. Those guys are 50, 60, 70 years old, and they're trying to tell a young fella, don't take steroids. And the old young fella's going to say, nah, what do you know, mate? Now, the old fellow has won. Dorian Yates and the other guys, most of those guys that are interviewed, they're all Olympia winners. They're like 5-time Olympia winners in some of them. And, the chemicals that they take. But it really depends on the person. At the end of the day, I don't actually think a male actually really knows who he is, starts figuring that out until he starts getting past his mid-20s.
Yeah.
You've got so many other things that you're trying to figure out in life, your career, your relationships, not just your personal ones, your friendships as well that come and they go, where you're living, all that sort of stuff. It's statistically proven that most guys, when they get to 27, if they're in prison, they generally get let out.
Yeah.
Because they got done as a minor, or maybe they got done in their late teens, and then
they're experimenting. They're trying new things, and that may have led them down the other path, and that's what ended them there. Yeah.
Well, like the excess for risk-taking behavior, like if you look at insurance premium, if you're a young person and you want to get insurance on your car,
it's pretty bloody high.
like $2.5, $3 grand. Well, it was $2.5 when I was 18, and that was 20 plus years ago. So
it's gonna be high now.
it's probably almost double that now, and that's why most people get their insurance done with their parents. But it's not until the age premium, which is probably 25 and over, and you get it whenever you hire a car. It says, are you older than 25? Well, I'm fortunate that I can tick the box, but if you're younger than 25, your excess is going to be astronomical, only because statistically, young males particularly, are more at risk because they engage in the risk-taking behavior. This is not my opinion. This is statistics that's talking.
It's just science, really.
And honestly, I can concur, so I can agree from my own personal experience of my own risk-taking behavior of that's exactly what I was doing in the teens to 20s, that I was risking things. Absolutely. 100%. Driving like a hoon, doing wheelies, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Could someone tell me otherwise? No, of course they couldn't.
At least you can be honest with it now. Just be like, I've been there.
Yeah, I'm just fortunate that I'm alive to actually be able to cut, because there were instances where it wasn't. It was that close that it could have gone the either way. That close. So, a lot of different things with taking steroids and that sort of stuff. A lot of different side effects. The feedback that I got from people that know more about the substances that talk about it, that have taken it, is that they say, do your research.
Yeah.
Do your research, because there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot. If your information sources are the biggest guy in the gym and he says, hey man, I'll hook you up, like,
no.
It's kind of like when people take party drugs and that sort of stuff, when they get passed around to a mate, or you might pay $10, $20. I don't know what the going rate is. I have no idea. But effectively, it's a tiny tablet that looks like smaller than an aspirin, and a person takes it. Someone says, hey, take this. Now, the thing is, you don't know what it's been cut with. You don't know what's in it. You don't know how you're going to react to it. But when you're in the moment, you're probably you're not necessarily you're not going to think about that. But like I said before, the suggestion is do your research. If that's what you want to do and that sort of stuff, find out what the side effects are. Chat to a
Mm,
doctor. You're not going to like what they hear if the person wants to do it.
mm.
And you know, like it stems off. If you look at all the things that we've talked about in terms of insecurities,
Yeah,
well, it's just going to amplify that, and it's going to have its own set of insecurities that's going to come with it.
yeah,
Like minus anything we've talked about, 100%.
definitely.
So yeah, it's not like I said.
Yeah,
What a person does, not it's their whatever they want to do. But in terms of bodybuilding and competing, if you're a natural, well, stay natural. If you're not,
yeah.
well,
Well, I
go and
mean,
do an
I'm
untested federation like NABBA and IFBB or WFF, where you
yeah.
can take whatever you want. So
You're, I'm the same. I believe in natural, and that's just me because I personally like the natural physique more. That's just my personal gain, and I'm not against anyone. I will follow the Mr. Olympia. I will follow, Chris Bumstead. People like that because I just enjoy watching the sport and watching these
oh, and
guys
they're phenomenal to
and
what the
noticing
body
the
can do.
difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. It's just cool to watch. But I plan to be lifetime natural, and that's what I want to do. And I want to compete natural, but it's just interesting because there's some guys that want to be unnatural and that's fine with them, but
Yeah.
yeah, as you said, do your research, but
Cool.
it's just interesting, yeah.
Yeah.